Are we actually communicating in the right way? I remember a drawing that I saw a long time ago, and it basically shows that in a conversation there is a gap between what you have in your head and what the other person is hearing. I forgot the name of this drawing. I don't even know if it has a name, but I will try to recreate it from my memory. And for that, we're just gonna switch to my laptop. Okay guys, I know this is a bit cheap, but this is all I have for the moment, so let's just go with it. Okay, so let's say you have something to say. The yellow circle is basically everything that you have in your head. But do you have that moment where you sometimes want to say something and it sounds pretty simple in your head, but then when you try to explain it, you cannot really explain it that well? This is what's happening here, because the next circle, the blue circle, is what you can put into words. So there is a first gap right here. And then while you are talking with the other person, they may not catch everything. So the purple circle is gonna be what the other person is hearing. And then we have the last circle, and this is basically what the other person really understands. So we have 4 circles and 3 gaps, as we can see here. And I'm just gonna use another color to show this. So what do we see here? Between what you had in your head and what the other person received, there is a huge gap. And this gap, I'm just gonna write it down here, this gap can cause conflict and misunderstandings, even though it's the same thing, because misunderstandings can cause conflict. So what can we do? The key is now to minimize this gap. We can probably not get rid of it entirely, but we can try to minimize it. Now the question is how to minimize it. And I've come up with some things. I will go through every gap and try to find a solution for every one of these gaps. Okay, so let's look at the first gap. We said this is what we have in our head, and this is what we can put into words. I think the best solution for this one, I'm just gonna use this symbol. In order to minimize this gap, we can use vocabulary. Or should I just go with black? Yeah, I will just go with black. Many of us are native in 1 or 2 languages or even more, but not many of us use the language to the full extent. It's important to grow your vocabulary and to learn specific and important words. Words that can describe specific things that are otherwise difficult to describe. If you can use your language well and you know a lot of words, you can also describe better what you feel or what you think. Okay, let's go to the second gap. Aesthetically, this is really not good, what we can put into words and what the other person is hearing. Here I will put actively listening. Sometimes people don't really pay attention, and if you're in a conversation with someone, you should really listen to them. Try not to distract yourself with something and try to listen to the conversation and engage with it. Now we're gonna go to the last gap, which was the gap between what the other person is hearing and what the other person finally understands. I think this is the most difficult gap because it requires this thing, listening to understand. I will type /context because if you're listening to understand, you are trying to see the context. I once read in the internet that there are 2 ways of listening. Either you are listening to understand or you're listening to respond. If you're listening to respond, you're just waiting for the other person to finish, and then you already have your opinion or you already have the answer that you want to say. You cannot really wait until the other person is finished. But this sometimes doesn't really help the other person. If you're listening to understand, then you don't say anything at first. You may ask some questions in between, but you just ask these questions to understand it better. Forgot to add this symbol. There is nothing wrong with answering after you listen to someone, but this answer can wait. Because you're trying to understand, okay, what is going through this person's mind? What are their thoughts and feelings about this topic? You're trying to see the bigger picture. Okay guys, so before the video continues, I just want to say something. So I updated my drawing a bit, as you can see here on the left, and on the right you can see the original drawing. I actually found that after making the video. So basically the difference is that in the original drawing, what I can put into words and what I say to other people is separate, whereas on my drawing it is on the same level, here on the second blue circle. But what I also did in my drawing was that I made a new circle, the purple one, what the other person is hearing. And I saw that this was not on the original drawing, but you could actually add this in between what I say to other people and what people actually understand. Because I still think there could be the case where there can be a gap because of that too, like I mentioned in the video. So yeah, that's basically it, and let's just continue with the video. So if you apply all of these steps, you could minimize this gap or maybe even fully close it. I don't know if it's possible to get rid of it entirely, because as we know, everyone is different, everyone has their own head. Even if you have a lot of empathy, if you're not going through something that a person is currently going through, you cannot really understand how they're feeling. But even if we cannot get rid of it entirely, we can try to minimize this gap and make it as small as possible, so that it ideally will be just a small gap like this. And I said a really important word before. I think one of the main keys also is empathy. Guys, don't underestimate the power of empathy, because empathy not only helps with the first, the second gap, it helps with everything. The more empathy we have, the more we can understand each other, the more we can help each other, we can also get along better. Everyone can benefit from empathy. If you have empathy, you're more willing to listen, to understand, you're actively listening, you're also trying to avoid the misunderstandings and conflict. Every one of us should ask themselves, do I have enough empathy? And if you think you still need to work on that, then it's time to work on that. So yeah, that's basically it. If you know more about this topic or even the original drawing, then please let me know in the comments. Even though the production was a bit cheap, you guys could probably understand what I wanted to say there. Currently I'm trying different things on my YouTube channel, so if you like this type of content, make sure to let me know. If you think this video can benefit anyone, make sure to share it to your family and friends. So thank you for watching this video, and see you in the next video.